while we're warming up this video, the takeaway is that Fauci and Jim Jordan often trade spars, and they jab or they spar in Congress. And I think they're not, Jordan, like any congressman, is not really trying to ask the witness questions. It's almost like a rant or a speech. But let's just watch them discuss. Hold on a second. Share. All right, here we go. We're going to go back to the beginning.
Message, Congressman Jordan, is to get as many people vaccinated as quickly as we possibly can to get the level of infection in this country low, that it is no longer a threat. That is when. And I believe when that happens, you will see.
What determines when?
I'm sorry.
What measure? I mean, are we just going to continue this forever, or when do we get to the point? What measure? What standard? What objective outcome do we have to reach before Americans get their liberty and freedoms back?
You know, you're indicating liberty and freedom. I look at it as a public health.
All right. So basically, hopefully you guys can hear the audio. But let me know in the chat if you can't. Otherwise, okay, good. Maria confirmed. Thank you, Maria. Thanks, Earl. So basically, it's all about the question. Yes, I agree, Lukey. Jordan definitely seems rude. Yeah, Jordan is not, like, if Jordan were to come home and be dating your daughter, you would be like, why is my daughter dating this dick, right? But that is Jordan for you. And he's basically presenting a false choice. He's saying, hey, when will we poor victims get our freedom back? As if Fauci is like purposely suppressing people's freedom. Like, as a reminder, 500,000 people have died from this virus in the U.S. alone. I think worldwide we're about 3 million dead. 3 million people dead in about, 18 months. So, yes, we are doing our best to kind of fight this thing, and it does mean we make sacrifices. Like, during World War II, there were a lot of sacrifices made. I don't think anybody said, like, when are Americans going to get their freedom back? It's like, well, when we win the war. So at any rate, let's see. And you can judge for yourself if Jordan is being reasonable and authentic and really wants to get to the truth.
Health measure to prevent people from dying and going to the hospital.
You don't think Americans' liberties have been threatened the last year, Dr. Fauci? They've been assaulted. Their liberties have.
I don't look at this as a liberty thing.
So Jordan is saying that Americans have been assaulted and their liberties have been assaulted because of the public health measures that we've kind of taken in some states to try and fight this virus, which has killed 500,000 people.
Congressman Jordan.
Well, that's obvious.
As a public health thing.
But
I disagree with you on that.
You think the Constitution is suspended during a virus, during a pandemic? It's certainly not.
This will end.
All right, so now Jordan is saying that Fauci is trying to suspend the Constitution. Now, I'm not sure what part of the Constitution Jordan is responding to, but I don't think there's anything in there that says that people have a right to infect and kill their neighbors with virus by coughing all over them and not wearing a mask in public gatherings. Like, you have to wear clothes, no shirts, no shorts, no service. Remember that? Where are all the radical MAGA talking about that stuff? Isn't that their freedom? Shouldn't you be able to walk around naked with the .50 caliber machine gun? So clearly, this is like, just because we're in the middle of a global pandemic and we want to reduce the number of infections, so wear a freaking mask and distance and don't congregate in large groups indoors during a period where thousands of Americans are dying every day, that is not the same as suspending the Constitution.
For sure, when we get the level of infection very low, it is now at such a high level, there's a threat again of major surges.
Dr. Fauci, over the last year, Americans' First Amendment rights have been completely attacked. Your right to go to church, your right to assemble, your right to petition your government, freedom of the press, freedom of speech have all been assaulted. I mean, for a year now.
Assaulted.
Americans haven't been able to go to church. Even today, when they go to church, they're limited in the size of worshipers who can meet.
It is true that if you go to church, you should probably distance, and I just don't get that. Like, why is that so terrible that you should distance and limit the size of gatherings? There's no place in the Constitution that says you can just ignore public health and kind of kill your neighbor in the name of your freedom to express your religion. I think the Constitution is more about, you can't really ban one religion, or you can't suppress another religion in favor of another one, or you shouldn't really mix them. But yes, if you pack a bunch of people into a small church in the middle of winter during a global pandemic unmasked, that doesn't seem very Christ-like.
Your right to assemble? Oh my goodness. We had a curfew last fall in Ohio. You had to be in your home at 10. In Pennsylvania, you had to be in your home. When you're in your home, you had to wear a mask. In Vermont, when you were in your home, you didn't have to wear a mask, Dr. Fauci, because you weren't allowed to have people over to your house.
Yeah, Congressman Jordan.
Your ability to petition your government, for a year, American citizens haven't been able to come to their capital to petition their government, to talk to their representatives, and freedom of the press. These very pictures that Representative Scalise just showed you and talked about, guess what? The press isn't allowed in those facilities. The press is not, the Biden administration will not let the press in there. And certainly freedom of speech. I mean, governor of our third largest state meets with physicians, and that video is censored.
The thing I don't understand is, if the alternative is more people dying and contracting a deadly, not only a deadly virus, but a lot of doctors are talking about long COVID. So my neighbor, his brother-in-law, 6 months has recovered from COVID, still cannot have any sense of taste or smell. I interviewed a pulmonologist on this channel a few months ago, and she was talking about amputations, about 30-year-old marathon runners not being able to walk across a hallway without losing their breath months after they quote-unquote recovered. So I get the frustration that we all wish we could go to restaurants and be unmasked and have concerts, and nobody likes these mitigation steps, but to suggest that it's all some secret conspiracy to attack the Constitution is just ludicrous.
Because they dare to disagree with Dr. Fauci? So I just want to know, when do Americans get their First Amendment liberties back?
You know, I don't think anything was censored because they felt they couldn't disagree with me. I think you're making this a personal thing, and it isn't.
It's not a personal thing.
No, you are. That is exactly what you're doing.
No, your recommendations carry a lot of weight, Dr. Fauci. We just had the chair of the Financial Services Committee said she loves you and you're the greatest thing in the world.
My recommendations are consistent.
Will the gentleman yield?
No, it's my
Now,
time.
could I answer the question, please? My recommendations are not a personal recommendation. It's based on the CDC guidance, which is
And I'm asking the question,
underscored.
what measures have to be attained before Americans get their First Amendment liberties back?
I just told you that.
No, you haven't given anything specific. You said, we hope when this, Tell me specifically.
Right
what measures
now,
have to be
right
reached.
now, we have about 60,000 infections a day, which is a very large risk for a surge. We're not talking about liberties. We're talking about a pandemic that has killed 560,000 Americans.
I get
That's
that,
what we're
Doc.
talking about.
And I don't disagree with that, and I understand how serious that is, but I also understand it's pretty serious when businesses have been shut down, people can't go to church, people can't assemble in their own homes with their friends, with their families, people can't...
Here's the irony. If there was more adherence to public health mitigations earlier, we could have probably avoided some of the most extreme lockdowns. You look at like South Korea, you look at Singapore, you look at Taiwan, you look at Japan. They didn't completely shut down the way we had to in many states because they were willing to do the early steps. And so it's just the great irony that people like Jim Jordan are like moaning and complaining about the extreme measures that we had to take because it was them who refused to do anything in the early days, who said it was a hoax, who said it was just going to go away magically, and that anybody who wore a mask was just afraid. And now you complain that we have to do these more extreme public health measures in the midst of a surge? Like, come on, man. Don't complain because you didn't want to participate and now you're mad. We're all mad. You know what? I'm mad at the people who didn't cooperate early.
Go to a loved one's funeral. People can't get to their government, petition their representative to redress their grievances. Right. I also understand the First Amendment's pretty darn important, and it's been a year, and I want to know when Americans will get those First Amendment liberties back.
Well, you just said people cannot assemble in their own homes. They can. That's a CDC recommendation for vaccinated
Not last
people.
fall they couldn't.
I didn't hear.
Not last fall they couldn't.
I didn't hear what he said.
The gentleman's time has expired. I'll give you one instance of when we can get...
No, I have to say, as much as I find Jordan annoying, and he reminds me of some of the most kind of annoying people from high school, you know, those people that were just jerks. I think Clyburn, the dynamic and energy between Clyburn and Jordan is interesting. But let's watch on because this gets fun.
Our liberties back is when 90% of the members of the United States Congress get vaccinated.
Well, I want to know if that's what Dr. Fauci, is it 90%,
That's what
Dr. Fauci? Is it 90%? That's what I'd like to know. Give us some objective standards versus when certain things get reached, we might be able to get back to having our liberty. When? What are the numbers?
Well,
You're going to see a gradual, right now we're at an unacceptably high level. On a daily basis, it's unacceptably high, regardless of who you are. What you're going to see as more and more people get vaccinated, and we get over 3 million people a day, you're going to see the level of infection come down, and gradually there will be more flexibility for doing the things that you're talking about.
Where does it get to? When it comes down, what number do we get our liberties back? Tell me.
All right. Now, this is a really important moment here because what you have is you have Jordan trying to set a trap and Fauci refusing to step into it. What is that trap? Jordan is basically saying, give me a number. Give me a point where everybody gets to go back to normal. And the reason why it's a trap is because it's almost impossible to know. And the reason why it's impossible to know is there's so many other factors that need to be contemplated that we have no idea about. So as an example, if Fauci said, oh, well, as soon as the death rate goes under 500 a day, what happens if it goes under 500 a day, but you see a surge in number of cases? And we know that the death rate is a lagging indicator. Then he's not going to be able to recommend lifting mitigations. And then Jordan's going to say, aha, you lied. You told me in April in the same room, 500, and guess what the number is? 427, and you still haven't done it. You're a liar, Fauci, right? And then if Fauci says, well, okay, as long as the, whatever, the number of cases goes under a certain number. But what happens if we see increase in mutations? Maybe we can't loosen the reins just yet. So there's so many factors. And this virus is evolving and mutating and replicating as we speak. And we don't know about the state of vaccinations and how long the vaccines are going to kind of sustain their efficacy. So to try and force Fauci to give a specific number, it's sort of like when my kids ask me, oh, hey, if I get what grades, will you then take me to Disneyland? If I give them a number, but then they end up hitting that grades for their report card, but they burned down the house or they were very disrespectful, then I want the right to say, look, in the totality of the situation, it doesn't make sense to go to Disneyland. And similarly, I think we got to give our public health folks a little bit of latitude to look at the full situation, the state of the economy, the state of international virus rates, state of travel, the state of virus mutations, vaccinations, adherence, geographical spread. So Jordan's asking for a very simple answer to a question that is way too complex.
The number. Tell me the number.
And by the way, I'm pretty sure Jordan knows that Fauci can't give him a number, which is why Jordan keeps asking Fauci for the number.
When 90% of the members of Congress get vaccinated.
But you're not a doctor, Mr. Clyburn. He is. What is the number?
I can't
Thank
give.
you for recognizing me, Mr. Clyburn. Thank you.
Chair now
for giving me the
recognizes
time.
for 5
I'd
minutes.
like my question
Ms.
answered.
Maloney.
I don't want.
Reclaiming my
I
time.
want a
Reclaiming my
question.
time.
Regular order. Regular order.
No,
If
Just
the-
a moment.
for all
Mr.
I'm
Chairman, I don't want you to answer my question. The American people want Dr. Fauci to answer the
Well-
question.
But
What
you
does it
can't
have to be?
expire, sir. You need to respect the chair and shut your mouth.
Don't worry about
You need to respect the chair and shut your mouth. Oh my God. Dude, this Congress is so messed up. How do we get anything done with this collection of individuals? Or it's like a high school cafeteria.
this. We're going to handle this. And I think Mr. Jordan knows me very well. And he knows full well that we're going to handle this.
This is great. Where Clyburn, I basically think Clyburn is saying, oh, your antics, there's going to be consequences, and I'm not going to put up with this shite. But let's watch it again, because I think it's great, where there's this spat, and Clyburn's like, oh, we're going to handle this. Don't you worry about that. We're going to handle this.
Very well. And he knows full well that we're going to handle this. Your time has expired, and the chair now recognizes
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Maloney.
All right, I think that's enough of the reaction. But I just wanted to share. I thought that was very enjoyable. I've watched it twice now, and the TLDR is that people like Jim Jordan are trying to oversimplify and turn this into the radical libs, the snowflakes are trying to attack the Constitution and take away your freedom, because that gets them reelected and that gets them more money from their radical MAGA supporters. And the reality for Fauci is this is a hard problem. It's complicated. It's deadly. Just because people survive doesn't mean there aren't massive long-term risks. And, you ask around, man. Everybody knows someone who's gotten COVID, and ask them if everything's back to normal, and you'll find that a non-trivial number have long-term issues. And there have been studies of Wuhan survivors with problems with their memory and problems with their mental acuity. And I think part of it is You know, again, you go look on my channel for my interview. I'll show you just so you know I'm not like making this up. But if you're interested in this topic, I highly recommend that you check out, if you go to YouTube and you go to my channel, Nerds for Humanity, and then you go and search under videos for, let's see, is there an effing way? Hold on, is this being covered up? All right, let's say Nerds for Humanity COVID. I've done a lot of COVID. Here it is. Watch this video. It's called, If You Think COVID-19 is Just the Flu, Watch This. It's from July 2020 from a board-certified ICU doctor, Johns Hopkins Medical School graduate, Dr. Sukar from Northern Virginia. I'm going to put a link in the live chat. Check that out, and she will tell you very clearly, as a doctor, first-hand experience, that people who get COVID and survive, many of them have serious complications long after they have, quote-unquote, beat COVID. It's called long COVID. It's called COVID lung, COVID brain. You do not want this, people. Trust me. All right? So if you haven't gotten your vaccine and you have access to it, there are some states where, like, they have appointments and they're available. I live in California, Northern California, where everybody is climbing over each other trying to get a vaccination shot. But there are parts of the country where a lot of people are turning it down. If you're watching this, strongly encourage you to get vaccinated. If you don't believe me, ask your doctor, right? Talk to your primary care provider. Ask them if it's safe. Ask them if they've gotten it. And I think most of you will find that it will be a wise choice. With that, I am going to say goodbye, nerds. But before I do say goodbye, nerds, please, for this last second, if you haven't liked it, can you hook a brother up? And can you share it out? Because nerds content is not exactly as exciting as Mr. Beast giving away a free house. Someday, maybe we can do that. But in the meantime, we'll stick with the facts, with data, and fun conversation. So thanks, everybody, and thanks to all the members for supporting this channel. Click that join link. Oh, I did mention that I was going to shout out anybody who joined recently before we wrap up. We have our channel members, and if you're not a member, just click that join link. And our oldest and most supportive members, VLAM, JM Sap, Fat Lamb, Kristen Slevin, Soldier One. Hold on. There we go. Laura Lane, Patrick Dunn, Bike, and Mindful Skeptics. So thank you to our amazing VP level Nerds for Humanity supporters. And let's add now our hardcore. Mike Chang, Gene Lim, David, Tracy Mesa, DK, Phoenix Congress, Jekalego, Kirsch Thiva, Mr. History Fan, Byram Hess, Mona Burton, Susan Clifton, Yang Dang, Tony Perella, Robert Wu, Dean L, Stat Nerd, Galessa, Jay Perrin, Jay Bryan, Vivian Lynn, Dana, Flavio Lira, Yoda Fanny, and Jason Sherfy. And then finally, at our entry level, verified nerds, all of the money from our memberships goes to just supporting more content. So thank you guys for helping make nerd content possible. Helen, Lisa, Sugar, Albert, Brandon, Yes, Brian, Peter, Arez, Your Mom, and Sophia, Jedwiga, Gail, Shake and Make, Mike, Doris, Emerald, Lori, Ben, Roger, Lisa, Christina, Vaughn, Rasta, Richard, Jessica. Always does this. The scrolling always stops. James, Jalopy, Emma, Spirited, Hui, Stephen, Ira, Shoney, Philip, Jameson, Dr. A, William, Karen, Monica, Alex, Ardent, Mai, Semery, David, Ender, Brittany, Clyde, Wanda, and Sasha. And to our newest members, let me just give a special shout out to our youngest members, our newest nerds, Yoda Fanny, Jason Sherfay, Flavio Lira, Sasha Alexandra, all less than 30 days old. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And yes, remember to hit that like button and also share it. So hello, Tamar. Thank you for reminding everybody about that. Hit that like button. Do it now. And if you somehow aren't a subscriber and are watching me live, which would be amazing, please subscribe. And if you want to join before we finish the live stream, I'll make sure I shout you out at the very end. Yes, we have been getting more members. Thank you, Lukey. Yeah, we're getting less views on the content. I think a lot of Yang Gang is a little petered out, and a lot of people in general are not super into news and stuff. I don't blame them. It's been kind of tough last 12 months, but I'm going to keep going because these members seem to value what we're doing. All right.
Yang Gang 2020. Yang Gang 2020. Yang Gang 2020. Yang Gang. Yeah, yeah. Yang Gang 2020.